Are you frustrated by the price and performance of XLM and XRP? Are you fearful that we're never going to return to all-time highs again? This video is for you. I'm going to talk about the emotions of XRP and XLM, and I'm going to share with you something so big right now in the market, it's going to make you rethink this whole crypto thing. So let's leave this screen and go into this one right across the board. And you know why? It's because of CPI data that came out yesterday. If you want to learn more about that, I did an in-depth video on some of the individual metrics that came out that rocked the crypto market. Don't worry, I'll have that linked at the end of this video. All you got to do is click the thumb. But right now, Bitcoin down 20,255, down almost 5%. Ethereum holding on to 1,600. Now, XRP and XLM, fear, emotions, that's what we're here to talk about. But first, something that is going to put things into perspective for you. Yes, the merge with Ethereum is happening tomorrow. Yep, they've got it all confirmed. It should be going live tomorrow unless something totally crazy happens. Now, this is super good news for Ethereum, right? Because this is going to get all those energy hogs off of Ethereum's back. But when you look at the chart of Ethereum, check this out, everyone. Coming up to the merge, you could see that yes, Ethereum is being tugged by those same CPI inflation data that's tugging the entire crypto market. So one of the biggest events out there, yep, proof of work, proof of stake, yep, getting those regulators off the Ethereum backs. Guess what? Zero impact on the price. So now take that, take those emotions, take those ideas. Let's apply them now to XLM and XRP. All right, so first let's put this chart of XRP up on the screen and you can see a little bull run action here, some hysteria going on with some corrections and a crash. Now let's go to XLM. Very, very similar. Some unsustainable bull run movements here. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is frustrations, fear, and going forward, something that all of us feel. So don't feel alone with this, and I'm going to show you why it's okay not to feel alone and why you should actually feel good about things. My good friend Eric, Twitch Radio, sent me this chart and said, Klaus, you got to talk about bubbles popping and the psychological effects that go on because this happens with every bubble popping crisis. I have gone through, the .com bubble. I've gone through the housing bubble. I've gone through quite a few in my investing life. And I can tell you this happens every single time. You just have to get through the emotions of it. So just like Gordon Gekko out there that said, hey, don't be emotional about stock, I'm going to tell you, don't be emotional about crypto, and here is why. All right, so let's take a look at the chart up on the screen. So you can see right here, there's the stealth phase, all right? The smart money gets in early. Look at this as crypto a few years ago. There wasn't much hoopla about it. There wasn't much coverage on YouTube, anything like that. The smart money was getting in. Then check it out. The institutional investors get in, and this is the awareness phase. This is when people started hearing about crypto, right? You started hearing the buzz. You started seeing it on like the CNBC, MSNBC, Squawk Box, all that fun financial news started covering crypto. So then what happened, right? We started getting media attention. Then all of a sudden enthusiasm came in, and then greed and delusion, and things just went through the roof. Look at this phase right here with this media attention, enthusiasm, greed, right? And that's when the public gets involved. Let's switch back to XRP and XLM, and you can see, look at this chart right here. Yep, looks exactly like it. Same thing, look at this meteoric rise, right? People were getting in early, then the media started covering it, then the public started getting into it. Now let's go back to our chart. So now what happens? You get a new paradigm. Then what happens? You get the big correction and it's denial. People saying, whoa, 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 whoa. This is a temporary correction. We've got nothing to worry about. There's usually a little bump back up, which is your quote, return to normal right here. Again, let's move to the chart. Oh, bump up, return to normal, and then look what happens. The downward movement. Same thing. Look at that. Oh, return to normal. Nope, downward movement. So then what happens? Fear, right? The big crash happens. Fear. Oh my gosh. XLM went from 40 cents down to 30, down to 20, down to 15, down to 10. XRP holders, you remember the fear cycle, right? We're hanging out there in the 70-cent range. Then 50 cent happened. We're like, hey, we're going to hold 50, then 40. Then we got into the 30-cent range, right? That's when fear, capitulation, all that stuff happens. Then we get near to the bottom, everyone, and that's when the despair happens, all right? That's the blow-off phase. That's when you see a bunch of people dumping, okay? At the bottom, when despair, things are at its worst. Now remember, these are emotions, and I want to bring this back to the Ethereum merge. Think about the Ethereum merge, all right? Let's go to that screen here. Look at this, all right? Ethereum, biggest project in its history, something that is going to get regulators across the globe off its back. And look what happened to the price wise. Nothing. It was tugged by CPI data. And don't worry, any article you see in this video will be linked in the description below. I highly encourage you to go to the CPI data that I'm going to share with you down below and click on all of these different ones, because you can see there's different things. There's energy inflation, inflation rate, inflation expectations, import prices. So you can go through all these metrics and see what's tugging the economy. But back to the psychology thing. So once you hit the despair, once all of the people out there are at their lowest point, what happens? Boom, things start picking up and we return to the mean. And what return to the mean means, we're getting to a normal growth cycle. See, when we look at the rise of XLM, especially in that late 2020, early 2021, this was not sustainable, right? This moonshot here was completely unsustainable. When we look at it, when we look at the emotions of it, we could see, yeah, the media got into it. Then we had enthusiasm. Then we had greed. Then we had delusion, right? You guys remember all the SHIB millionaires and all that stuff. And then boom, the new paradigm. This is it. This is the new normal. And then the market corrected, everyone, just like you could see on this screen. And now you could see we are getting near that bottom, right? The amount of downward pressure on XLM XRP is starting to soften. The big news events like inflation or anything else like that, it's not rocking these cryptos as hard as they used to. Why? Because the emotions of it are starting to wear out on people. People are starting to get used to this downward pressure. They're like, oh, okay, this is the new norm. We can handle XLM at 10.5 cents. We can handle XRP right now at 33.75 cents. But when we look at this chart, you can see that this is a good thing, because the mean, the average growth cycle, we are going to be returning to that soon. Why? Because when despair, right? When we get to our lowest points, that's when the big money, that's when the institutional investors come in and buy, driving things back up, getting them on their normal growth process. And again, a huge shout out for Eric Twitch Radio for providing me with that emotional chart, saying, hey, Klaus, talk to people about this. You've gone through the bubbles, share your experience with everyone out there. And I did. I went through this with the .com bubble myself. I was out there and I was just hitting those .coms in the late 90s, early 2000s before, yep, the market came down and a bunch of people got wrecked. I remember those days going, oh my gosh, my account was at 15,000 and now it's only at 5. What am I going to do? You know what? A few years later, things were great and I was way above even what my previous highs were. Now, I went through this a second time and I'm going to share a story with you. I bought my first house when I was 20 years old. Was in that house for 8 years, and then what happened in 2008, everyone? The housing crash. Yep, within 3 months, I saw my home value go from 170,000 down to 100,000. When that bubble popped, right? It was all those same emotions we talked about. Fear, greed, delusion. Hey, there's a new paradigm. Housing's only going to go up, right? They were giving out all these crappy, unverified loans. But then what happened to the housing market, everyone? Well, if you held on the right way, things came back up. And in fact, you guys know that right now, what are we talking about with housing? It's not bad prices. It's not suppressed prices. It's crazy prices. So even the great housing crash of 2008 only lasted a little bit of time, right? Before we hit that emotional bottom and all the big money came in. Now, to tie that to the parallel of crypto, I'm going to share this little insight with you. When the housing market crashed in 2008, do you know who came in and bought most of the homes out there? Yep, big money. Private equity groups swooped in while prices were low, while fear was at its highest, while despair was at its highest, while people were dumping their homes for anything they could get, while bankruptcies were going through the roof. Yep, smart money came in and started buying, making housing go right back on that growth path that we're dealing with today. Yeah, so think, in 2008, housing prices crashed almost 50%. But here we are in 2022, housing prices are insane. We should apply this with crypto because the same emotional cycles that you go through with all investing bubbles applies to crypto. So if you feel fear, if you feel despair, if you feel like, hey, we only can go down from this point, fear not, because every cycle, every bubble bursting cycle has this emotional path, has this chart that we go through right now. .com, housing, cars are doing the same thing. Everyone remember when car prices crashed, right? And we had Pontiac shut down all their kind of production. Oh yeah, and now cars are super expensive again, aren't they? See, don't be fooled by the emotion of it. Listen to my good man Gordon Gekko, who says don't get emotional about stock. Listen to the good Klaus, not the bad Klaus Schwab, when I say, hey, don't get emotional about crypto and you'll be just fine. If you want to check out that video on what rocked the market, specifically CPI data-wise for XRP XLM, check out this video right here. Thank you again to all the channel members out there. Super thank you to Eric from Twitch Radio out there providing me with the chart and saying, Klaus, do the emotional thing. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day.